Hello and greetings from Jerusalem. I am standing here in the middle of the military cemetery on Har Herzl, and I want to talk to you about a special date on the Jewish calendar, the 7th of Adar. So the 7th of Adar is perhaps well known as the date of Moshe Rabenu's passing. This is based on the tradition and calculations of our rabbis, considering the relevant verses in the Tanakh. And the Torah says something remarkable about Moshe Rabenu's death, which is that he was buried by God himself in the land of Moab, and no man ever knew the precise location of his grave. So with that in mind, a few words about the cemetery. In the aftermath of Israel's War of Independence, a military cemetery was established here on Har Herzl, and many of the fallen soldiers were buried here, but also in other cemeteries around the country. However, there were some soldiers who died in action whose remains were never found. And the rabbinic leadership of the army at the time, they decided to declare the 7th of Adar to be a special memorial day for these soldiers because, like Moshe Rabenu, they have no known burial site. So, in light of that, I decided to come visit this memorial in Har Herzl along with my brother Joseph behind the camera. There's a special memorial called the Garden of the Missing. And on the wall here you see the names of soldiers whose remains were never found. It starts with people who died even before the War of Independence, then of course the War of Independence 1948, subsequent wars. I noticed here actually you have the name of Eli Cohen, the spy in Damascus. And that's the memorial. It's an important and emotional spot. Every year there's a memorial service, I've heard, here on the 7th of Adar. And when thinking about the 7th of Adar and Moshe Rabenu, if we want to memorialize Moshe, we have no gravesite to make pilgrimage to, but rather we can memorialize him by appreciating everything that he stood for, appreciating the Torah that he taught us, and appreciating the promised land that he led our forefathers to, that he himself begged to be allowed to enter but could not. And likewise, for the soldiers who have no graves for us to visit, we can memorialize them by appreciating this country, the country that they gave the ultimate sacrifice to establish and defend. And we can give them honor by coming here, seeing the country, visiting it, traveling it, and of course, dwelling in it and settling in it.